I don't understand the hate toward 90-day Fiance's Jasmine and her open marriage. 90-day Fiance's Jasmine Pineda has received a lot of heat lately about her open marriage with Matt Branis from both fans and other stars, but I'm failing to miss the true issue here. Almost as soon as the 90-day Fiancé franchise couple got married, their relationship fell apart, and Gino Palazzolo stopped being intimate with Jasmine. The lack of intimacy, as well as many other issues in their relationship, caused a rift between the two that landed them on the newest spin-off, 90 Day, The Last Resort. During The Last Resort, the couple was supposed to work on their intimacy and communication issues. Instead, Jasmine proposed an open marriage. In her mind, an open marriage would satisfy her sexual needs, thus improving her attitude enough to cohabitate and get along well with her husband. Unfortunately, the open marriage resulted in an unplanned baby and Jasmine and Gino's ultimate demise. While I understand the situation is not the norm for most, I think the hate is a little overboard, and the attacks from stars like Rob Warne were uncalled for. 90-day Fiance's Gino and Jasmine are consenting adults. The first and most important point I have regarding their situation is that Jasmine and Gino are consenting adults, and they agreed to an open marriage. In general, I think this alone negates most negative arguments about their open marriage. They're both over 30 years old, so it's not like they're still young with developing brains. Jasmine didn't go behind anyone's back, to the best of our knowledge anyway. Plus, Gino had time to think about opening their marriage. In fact, they spent most of The Last Resort discussing a potential open relationship, and, in the end, they came up with terms and agreed to it. Gino established his boundaries, such as using protection and disclosing locations, and decided the open marriage was worth a shot. I understand that after some time and after Jasmine got pregnant, his feelings changed, but in my opinion, remorse isn't enough to essentially defame Jasmine's name. 90-day Fiance's Gino is not being accountable. My next biggest issue is Gino's lack of accountability for his role in this situation. I understand Gino might have felt pressured, but he was stonewalling Jasmine. Gino refused to give Jasmine even an inch. He barely wanted to hug her. Yes, he did turn down the open marriage initially, but he also made zero efforts to fix the issues in their marriage. By the time they got married, I truly questioned if Gino loved his wife because, unless they had plans to have a child together, he didn't want any sort of intimacy with Jasmine. I understand Jasmine's reactions can be daunting, but I also think she practiced a lot of patience by waiting almost a whole year before asking for an open marriage to satisfy her needs. Even the counselor, Reeba, mentioned that it didn't make sense for Gino to consider an open marriage while refusing to think about what he needed to be intimate with Jasmine again. Overall, I think he made no effort to reconnect with his wife, and I was appalled to see some of their interactions behind the scenes, but Gino keeps finding a way to excuse himself from this behavior. Overall, I think the hate Jasmine is receiving is unjust. I especially think the hate coming from a star like Rob, who was caught cheating on their partner, is laughable. In The Last Resort, Reeba claimed that people who regularly cheat are often triggered by open relationships, and I wonder if that's the case for stars like Rob. In the end, it's Gino and Jasmine's relationship. They're adults, and they agreed to an open relationship. It's okay to have regrets or to learn from mistakes, so to speak, but I still don't understand the disregard for the 90-day Fiancé star. I think the 90-day, The Last Resort therapists embarrassed themselves. Their tell-behavior shocked me. After watching the 90-day, The Last Resort tell-all, it's clear to me that the therapists embarrassed themselves. 90-day. The Last Resort Season 2 just finished airing and included 6 90-day Fiancé franchise couples at crossroads in their relationships/marriages. Natalie Mordop-Seva and Josh Weinstein, Stacey Silva and Florian Sukaj, Ariela Weinberg and Beniam Schreiber, Brandon Gibbs and Julia Trupkina, Rob Warne and Sophie Sierra, and Jasmine Pineda and Gino Palazzolo participated in the 3-week-long group and individual therapy resort. Season 2 was filmed in March 2024, and the tell-all was filmed in January 2025. From what I saw, The Last Resort's point was lost on a lot of the couples, and I feel like most ended in worse places than when they started. The group participated in challenges, exercises, and talking therapy sessions to get to the root of what was wrong in their connections with their partners. Only Brandon and Julia truly came out of the experience as a stronger couple. The therapist showed up to the tell-all, and I think they made themselves look bad. Reeba didn't take accountability for bad counseling of Gino and Jasmine. Yeah, so it's not my job. The therapist that I took the most issue with was sex therapist Reeba Thomas. After The Last Resort Season 2 started airing, I saw troubling accusations about Reba's actual credentials as a therapist. Per Reba's LinkedIn profile, she is not even a therapist. She describes herself as a celebrity sexuality educator, entertainer, and entrepreneur, with a degree in PR. I found that extremely alarming off the bat, but my opinion of Reeba got worse, and her tell-all behavior sealed my opinion of her. Reeba worked the most with Natalie and Josh and Gino and Jasmine during the season. With Natalie and Josh, Reeba pushed them to do a sexual syrup exercise in which Natalie was supposed to apply it to Josh and lick it off, and Josh declined because he wasn't comfortable. That sent Natalie into a tailspin that Reeba did nothing to mitigate. In fact, she left the room. Reeba continued to push the narrative that intimacy was a problem in Natalie and Josh's relationship, when they had much bigger issues Reeba didn't address. Then, Reeba really rubbed me the wrong way by introducing Jasmine to the idea of an open marriage, because Reeba had won herself when Jasmine and Gino were in no place to entertain that idea. On Reeba's suggestion about the open marriage idea as a whole, Jasmine forced Gino, via an ultimatum, to get him to agree to the open marriage with Matt Branis, a man she already had a connection with from the gym. Come the tell-all, Jasmine showed up pregnant with Matt's baby while still married to Gino. When the therapists were brought on the tell-all stage to address the couples and outcomes, I believe Reeba totally discredited herself and took no accountability for how Gino and Jasmine ended up. Tell-all host Sean Robinson asked the therapists if they were surprised about where Gino and Jasmine were. Reeba said she was not surprised by the end result of how their open marriage turned out, which shocked me. My professional and personal advice is they rushed into a situation none of them was really comfortable with. Since the open marriage idea was at Reeba's behest, I felt she was overly flippant about such a serious outcome. I don't think Reeba had any right to suggest the idea in the first place, given that Gino and Jasmine were in a bad place. Moreover, Reeba was totally unsupportive of Gino when he relayed at the tell-all that he felt uninformed. Josh and Florian also pushed that narrative that Reeba's pushing of the open marriage didn't fit Gino and Jasmine's circumstances. Jasmine sided with Reeba, and Ariella agreed, which I saw Reeba run with and make a snide remark, which I found totally unsavory. Dr. Lacey got bulldozed by Florian. She didn't seem credible. Florian not only came for Reeba, but he also called out Dr. Janie Lacey. When Florian was in the hot seat, Dr. Lacey said Florian and Stacy fell into a parent/child role a lot. The notion triggered Florian, and I felt Dr. Lacey should have known better than to attack Florian's behavior when it was something she didn't address during the resort. Dr. Lacey let herself get bulldozed by Florian, who discredited Dr. Lacey's ability to give advice. I saw the exchange as not a good look for Dr. Lacey, who I thought lost her authority due to her bad reading on what approach she should have taken. While I thought Florian's reaction and insults of Dr. Lacey were a bit extreme, I don't think he was wrong since Dr. Lacey did not help his marriage. James let emotion affect his opinions. James chastised Florian. After Florian came for Reeba and Dr. Lacey, therapist James Kelleher tried to step in and get through to Florian, but James came off as totally condescending, causing Florian to spiral even more. Furthermore, driving my disdain home for Reeba, she told Florian during the heated exchange to put some energy into your marriage, which came off to me as catty and unprofessional. Regarding how James responded to Natalie and Josh's relationship state, I thought he said all the things he should have said to them during therapy. For me, this underscored how aloof James was about the therapy he delivered. James was wholly ineffective and came off during the tell-all as resentful towards particular cast because they felt the therapists didn't do a good job at the resort. Will the same therapists return for The Last Resort Season 3? I don't think they were effective. I think the choice of therapists for 90 Day. The Last Resort Season 2 was a mess. Not only did their therapy approaches during the resort turn out to be ineffective and off-base, but their tell-all attitudes of unaccountability and finger-pointing themselves earned them a badge of embarrassment.